the sailing crew discovered something strange. The wood, which was supposed to be solid, had developed a circular pattern. Emma tried gently poking it with a pencil. Unexpectedly, the tough ship's timber was pierced straight through, and it even began to leak water. The captain, bold and fearless, dug his finger into it. It turned out to be just a barnacle, but Emma, beside him, felt it wasn't that simple. So she decided to put on oxygen gear and investigate underwater. However, at the bottom of the ship, she discovered a horrifying sight. Countless glowing blue tentacles were attached to the hull, and something even more terrifying was to come. The moment she turned her head, a massive blue creature appeared before her. She couldn't even make out the true size of this giant monster. And next, even more terrifying things began to happen one by one. The girl, Emma, is a marine biology PhD and EDDDHE student. But she has a very solitary personality. She has no friends at the research institute. Today, her colleagues are having a birthday party. Not only does Emma not join the celebration, she feels her colleagues are too loud and disturbing her research. The professor comes over and asks if she'll join them, but she tactlessly says she isn't going. At that moment, the professor suggests she go to sea to complete her internship, telling her not to stay in the lab all day without any friends. Emma didn't want to go, but the professor threatened to fail her PhD if she didn't. She had no choice. Emma could only go on the sea internship. She found a small, somewhat worn-out fishing boat, and she was late on the day of departure. Fortunately, the crew wasn't angry about it, and even came out personally to greet her. Soon, Emma was taken by a crewman, Tom, to see the captain. The captain's wife is a Viking. She has an innate talent for navigation, so the one actually steering the boat is the woman. After the captain introduced himself, he went to the cabin to see if the mechanic was ready. The mechanic and a sailor were checking the ship's equipment. The captain came over, first asking how they were doing. Then he brought up a topic he was reluctant to discuss. He was completely broke. Only a successful trip at sea would bring enough money to pay their wages. The mechanic couldn't help but complain after hearing this. His wife had just had a baby. They needed money for everything. Seeing this, the captain quickly reassured the mechanic and promised to compensate them both after their return. With no other choice, the two could only agree. But what they didn't know was, they might never return from this voyage. Emma was chatting with the female captain. The female captain asked her what she did for a living. Hearing this, Emma became animated. She earnestly boasted about her work. The female captain was left a bit speechless. Afterward, the socially awkward Emma went onto the deck. She took off her coat and hat, revealing a head of reddish-brown hair. Seeing this, Tom got the attention of the slim men nearby. The slim man turned his head and cursed loudly. Because red hair is considered a bad omen at sea, the captain and his wife were also stunned by this scene. They didn't know Emma had red hair, but the money Emma gave them had already been spent, and they couldn't afford the penalty for breach of contract. Emma felt wronged. She said her hair color was natural. Seeing this, Tom told her to put her hat back on. The captain could only accept the situation. Then, the fishing boat officially set off. Emma followed Tom to the crew's quarters and found there were only 4 bunks. She was very confused by this. There were far more than 4 people on the boat. Where were the rest of them supposed to sleep? Tom told her, the crew works in shifts. Half the crew works while the other half sleeps, and they only get 2.5 hours of sleep per day. Emma was shocked by this answer. This was no work for a human being. With such high-intensity work, without enough rest, the crew could suffer a mental breakdown and even take life-threatening actions. This psychological condition is called sea fever. Tom only thought she was being an alarmist. In the cockpit, the captain and his wife were planning the route, heading to the fishing grounds as planned. Meanwhile, Emma followed Tom on a tour of the boat. She saw a water purification device the mechanic had invented himself, and was quickly fascinated by it. Even the socially awkward Emma gave a sincere compliment, feeling the mechanic's talents were being wasted here. After the tour, Emma was taken to a place where she could rest. An old woman told her she could work there. And so, the fishing boat moved slowly across the calm sea. After a short while, the captain suddenly received a message from the Marine Guard. It warned them to avoid a restricted area ahead. The offspring of some marine animal were there. If they passed through the middle, they would very likely harm these animals. And this restricted zone was right on the captain's planned route. Not only that, the detector showed this area was rich with fish. But after some thought, they responded to the guard, saying they would not enter the restricted area. The female captain went outside to get some air, sighing. The captain remained alone in the cockpit, staring at the navigation chart as if deep in thought. Soon, night fell. The crew held a banquet, praying for the god of fortune's favor. But they didn't invite Emma. Emma carried her laptop to the mess hall, intending to get some work done. The group of crewmen looked at Emma awkwardly. Emma was taken aback by the scene and quickly returned to her room to bury herself in her work. As her research progressed, it was as if Emma had entered the depths of the ocean, surrounded by all kinds of marine life. For the next few days, Emma kept to herself, reverting to how she was at the research institute, focusing on her own project. Occasionally, the old woman from the mess hall would talk to her, telling her interesting myths and stories. The next day, the captain noticed whales escorting the boat. In folklore, whales represent the goddess of luck. The captain hurried to tell the crew the news. For a moment, the crew was immersed in joy. Just then, Emma threw cold water on their excitement. From a scientific perspective, whales strongly dislike noise, so they usually don't appear near ships. The captain was very annoyed by her remarks. However, the next second, the radar detected an anomaly. A massive, unknown entity appeared ahead. The fishing boat seemed to have hit something, and the communication equipment was damaged in the impact. Now they couldn't call for help. What the captain feared most was the hull being breached. If it was really breached, everyone would be lost at sea. The mechanic rushed down to the lower deck to check, but he seemed to see something incredible. He quickly called for the captain and Emma to come down. When they got down, they discovered the physical structure of the wood seemed to have changed. A light poke could pierce right through it, and a strange liquid was seeping out of it. Emma didn't know what it was. She carefully reached out and took a sample of the liquid. This slime was like a secretion from some creature. She then used a spoon to scoop up some of the tissue fluid and placed it in a petri dish she had brought. The captain simply reached out and tore the plank away, revealing some kind of marine organism inside. Although Emma couldn't be certain, she thought it was probably some type of barnacle. The captain then suggested that Emma help them solve this problem, saying her purpose for coming was to find anomalies for research. Emma didn't object. She silently put on her diving gear. Before she went into the water, the captain gave her a dagger, telling her to use it to clean off the barnacles. Emma had practiced diving before, but never in such deep, open water. Even for someone fascinated by the sea, on this day, she was still a bit nervous. After preparing herself mentally, she finally entered the water. Approaching the ship's hull, she saw glowing tentacles attached to the ship. Although Emma didn't recognize what they were, they definitely weren't barnacles. She tried to cut one with the dagger, but found the glowing creature released a black ink. Suddenly, Emma was terrified. She fled back to the ship in a flash. The crew was very curious about her reaction. What did she see that scared her so much? She then told the crew everything she had seen. After hearing her story, the captain immediately concluded it was a giant octopus. He immediately wanted to cast a net to catch it. Besides, they were trapped by the octopus and couldn't move. They had to deal with the octopus first. Soon, the fishing net was cast into the water. It really did catch something, but the creature's strength was immense. The entire fishing boat was pulled and tilted to one side. Seeing this, the captain could only order them to release the cable. Unexpectedly, as their clumsy teammate Tom was walking, his hand got caught in the winch. Luckily, another person shut off the winch in time. Tom only suffered a minor injury, and the operation to capture the octopus had failed. Tom returned to the lounge to bandage his wound. Emma noticed his wallet had fallen on the floor. After picking it up, she found some slime on it, just like the slime on the planks in the bilge. Suddenly, Emma spotted something in the distance. She hurried to find the captain. It turned out there was another fishing boat nearby. This meant they would have to split the profits from this area. But the captain thought the other boat might have machinery that could easily catch the octopus. Then they would be able to get free. But firing a flare gun got no response. The captain told the crew about this, but no one was willing to go to the other boat for help. Just then, Emma bravely volunteered to go. Seeing that the student on her first sea voyage was so courageous, the captain and Tom decided to go with her to the other side. Soon, the three of them were on the other boat, but there wasn't a living soul here. They searched the deck for a long time but saw no one. They went to the cockpit and found the radio was also broken. The three were instantly speechless. They could only check the cabin to see if anyone was alive. However, as soon as they entered, the smell of blood hit them. After a search, the three found that all the crew members were dead. They were covered in blood. It looked as if they had killed themselves. Some even had their eyeballs burst. The captain believed this was caused by sea fever. Shaken, the three of them hurried back to the deck. Deciding it wasn't his problem, the captain had no intention of calling the police. He also told Emma and Tom to keep it a secret to avoid causing a panic. The two were so scared they immediately agreed. Soon, the three returned to their own ship and received some good news. The giant octopus had disappeared. The fishing boat could now move freely. The crew saw many schools of fish nearby, so they quickly cast their nets to fish. And the catch was good. It seemed everything was heading in a good direction. But little did they know, a disaster was silently unfolding. After experiencing so much, Emma had completely changed. The marine biology she had been engrossed in was of no use at all now. She didn't even know what they had encountered. At this moment, she realized she was just an ordinary person. Emma finally had an awakening. Recent events had made her develop feelings for Tom. She went to the lounge to chat with Tom. Just as something was about to happen, a crewman suddenly walked in and interrupted them. They were going to have a celebration feast, and Emma had gotten used to this atmosphere. After the meal, Tom suddenly became unusually excited, inviting Emma to go for a swim with him. Hearing this, the captain sensed trouble. He quickly told everyone to stop him. By now, Tom had already stripped and was ready to jump in. Everyone managed to pull him back with great difficulty. The captain questioned if he had eaten something he shouldn't have, but Tom denied it, saying he wouldn't dare. Emma suspected he had been infected and wanted to check his eyes. Emma was instantly terrified. The captain took the flashlight but saw nothing. He just said she was seeing things. Emma also hoped she was seeing things. She then urged Tom to get some rest. But as soon as Tom stood up, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his eye. The next second, his eyeball exploded. A swarm of small bugs sprayed out from it. After struggling for a moment, Tom met a bitter end. Seeing this, Emma quickly told everyone in the room to get out. She realized it was a waterborne parasite. Hearing this, the female captain rushed to shut off the water supply. At that moment, everyone thought of the slim man who was taking a shower. They rushed to warn the slim man to turn off the water, but it was too late. By the time they entered the bathroom, the slim man was already covered in blood, leaning against the wall. They quickly bandaged him up and let him rest. The slim man's symptoms were developing relatively slowly. He was now running a high fever, and he also felt discomfort in his eyes. Afterward, they went to the water tank to check the filtration system. They saw that a large hole had been chewed through the filter's iron mesh. It was clear these parasites were terrifying. The water tank was now full of parasites. They quickly sealed the tank, but this also meant they had lost their source of fresh water. But Emma wasn't panicking at all. Her knowledge told her these parasites were definitely related to the deep-sea creature from before. They couldn't survive for long in fresh water. If they just waited one night, they would all die. The next day, they cautiously opened the water tank. As expected, the parasite's activity had decreased, but there were still many parasites left. Just then, Emma remembered the liquid she had collected, so she returned to her room to study it. She discovered the liquid was full of parasite eggs, and Tom, because of his injury, had direct contact with the eggs, which is why his infection progressed so rapidly. She then began searching for a way to kill the parasite eggs, but UV light and disinfectants were useless. Suddenly, she stared at the lamp in front of her, deep in thought. She then went to find the captain. She planned to use the entire ship as a conductor. After everyone put on insulated boots, they would electrocute the entire ship. Although the female captain objected, it was the only option left. They quickly got to work. The massive electrical current charred the doll on the ship's bow. This method actually worked. The parasites were killed. But Emma said they still had to wait another 36 hours to know if they were infected themselves. Hearing this, the female captain rejected her proposal. Seeing no other way, Emma went to the mechanic. But this time, the mechanic didn't agree either. They all wanted to get back to shore as soon as possible. By now, the slim man was barely breathing. The old woman from the mess hall stayed by his side. The slim man asked her if his eyes were open. Receiving an affirmative answer, the slim man instantly broke down. He had gone completely blind. After a brief struggle, he stopped moving. Only then did the old woman realize he was gone. The crew held a very simple funeral for him. Emma still tried to persuade them not to go ashore, but she was met with unanimous opposition. Seeing this, Emma went directly to the stern of the boat. The mechanic sensed something was wrong, ran over, and brought her back. Learning the engine was damaged, the old woman from the mess hall punched Emma. The female captain also came forward to condemn her actions. That night, the female captain came to find Emma. She asked her to help check everyone on board. At first, the checks revealed no problems, until it was the captain's turn. Seeing the situation, the captain told everyone the truth. It was because he had secretly changed course into the restricted zone that the subsequent series of events occurred. Hearing this, the old woman immediately snapped. The captain was responsible for Tom's and the slim men's deaths. She apologized to Emma, but the old woman's hand slowly reached for Emma's neck. Emma broke free and fled frantically. The old woman pursued her closely from behind. After climbing a ladder, Emma kicked the old woman down. The old woman died instantly, and a larva fell out of her eyeball. This showed that just looking at the surface of the eye was not enough to determine if someone was infected. At the same time, the captain and his wife went to their room to be alone. Then the captain took out a dagger. A moment later, the female captain walked out, and the captain was gone. Now, only 3 living people remained on the entire ship, and the selfish female captain took a lifeboat and left alone. Emma and the mechanic returned to the water tank area and found the original larvae had grown into a huge creature. It seemed this ship was a lost cause. They prepared to set the ship on fire. They spread gasoline all over the deck and cabins, then prepared to leave in a life raft. Unexpectedly, the mechanic lost his footing and fell into the water. He was quickly dragged away by the giant monster. Seeing him in danger, Emma leaped down without hesitation. She tore away the monster's tentacles with her bare hands and saved the mechanic. The 2 of them lay on the life raft. Just then, the mechanic saw a Marine Guard vessel approaching in the distance. It seemed they were about to be rescued. Suddenly, Emma noticed something strange on her wrist. She pulled back her sleeve and saw she was injured. Infection was now inevitable. To avoid endangering the mechanic and the people on land, Emma dove directly into the water and swam towards the monster, leaving the mechanic alone, waiting for rescue. And that's where the film ends. Sea Fever is a sci-fi thriller, with an unknown marine creature as its theme, exploring the mysterious deep sea. The special effects are decent, but limited by its small budget. Only a few parasite larvae appear in the entire film. The full appearance of the monster is never shown to the audience. The film attempts to create a compact plot, but it seems the director lacked the skill. The film is riddled with plot holes. The protagonist, as a scientific researcher, even uses her bare hands to take a sample. Even the mechanic knew to use a screwdriver, and after taking the sample, she doesn't study it promptly. She only remembers to check it with a microscope after 2 people have died. Also, in the end, how did the protagonist pull the monster off with her bare hands? When the monster was stuck to the hull, even a knife couldn't get it off. There are many other plot holes I won't list one by one. Many characters in the movie, including the protagonist, suddenly changed their personalities or sacrificed themselves in an instant in an attempt to show the complexity and greatness of human nature. but due to a lack of sufficient setup and logic, it just seems forced and bizarre. Moreover, the theme also touched upon the conflict between science and superstition, but the film didn't delve deeper into this aspect. It was just glossed over. Overall, the film's story and theme are quite interesting, but there are too many plot holes, not enough depth, and the special effects are just average. There's no need to watch the original movie. Just watching my summary is enough. Alright, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my channel. Your support is my greatest encouragement.